Hey guys, and welcome back to the road to 1600. If you've ever wanted to know what it looks like to play 200 ELO chess, well, you're in luck, because boy do I have a game for you. But before we jump in, if this is your first time finding the channel, please like and subscribe as we continue to grow. And let's go take a look at this one. Alright, let's get into this super fun game. So, playing as black here, and my opponent starts off with an e4. And so I go Carl Khan. First couple moves are pretty normal. Nothing too crazy just yet. I know this is the advanced variation, and when I see the advanced variation, I don't really want to get my bishop stuck behind a light square pyramid. So I bring my bishop out, careful not to bring it too far to leave it hanging to the queen. After this step, I kind of lose my strategy. I need to think of a couple more moves, or maybe look at the main line as to what the best move to be played in this situation is. But he develops, and I want to stop the advancement. I probably could have developed right there. Maybe I should have brought out a knight or something. But I just don't want to lose my bishop just yet, so I move my knight out to protect my bishop, and I want to leave my bishop somewhere to escape to, and also if I move my h-pawn up to h5 and he ends up taking me with his g-pawn, I can recapture with my bishop and then pin his knight to his queen while my bishop is protected by my rook, which is my thought of advancing that position right there. So he kind of sees the same thing, and he backs up his knight with his bishop. So there's a lot of play on the king side right now as to who's going to make the first move or what have you. So I took this opportunity to develop. I don't want to start an attack without developing, although I don't have a lot of space right now. And I figured, let me put some pressure on his bishop and also try to get a little bit more space, because I'm pretty jammed in to that bottom left-hand corner of the board right now. So if I move my f-pawn up, his bishop has to move, and then I can put pressure on his e-pawn as well. So that was kind of a twofold maneuver, and that pawn is protected by another pawn and my knight, so I figured, okay, that's probably safe to move. If he takes me with his pawn, I can take him with my pawn, and then I can also put pressure on his bishop. So I was okay moving that pawn up there. Okay, so he takes, I recapture, again still protected by my knight. So I said, okay, sounds good to me. I want a bishop. I'll take that. Up one piece of material. Okay, so he's threatening my bishop. So now I figured I'll go in, take that free pawn, since like my bishop's still protected by the knight, and my forwardmost knight is now protected by the pawn, so I figured I'll just take this opportunity to advance a little bit while I'm still protected. Okay, he decides to fall back, we retake, and here we go. This was the dumbest chess you can ever see. This is so poor. Alright, here comes blunder number one. Boom. I was thinking, oh my god, I'm a genius. If my bishop is protected by my rook, so he can't take me, and now his bishop can't move, because if he does move, his queen will be pinned. Or he'll lose his queen or whatever. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so smart. Like, this is so... No, if he takes me, I'm in check, and I gotta move, and then he can back out of it. And I didn't see that whatsoever. And if I take his bishop, he just takes me with his queen, so he loses a bishop and I lose a bishop and a rook. Terrible. I thought I was an absolute genius. No, that was an absolute terrible play. And it's just back-to-back blunders here. Like, this is just... That was a bad move on his part, the computer said. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, his dark squared bishop is gone. There's nobody attending this queen side right now, so I'm going to get up into b2, take his rook, take his knight, whatever. I'm going to do some damage over there. Computer didn't like this because I, again, left my bishop hanging didn't even see it. Oh gosh. I ended up with 4 blunders in this game pretty much because I left that bishop hanging out there for so long. Like, we're not even done with it hanging out there. So he ended up castling, because he sees what I see too, attacking his king side. Again, that's another blunder because my bishop is still hanging. I didn't see this at all until then. Then he puts me in a check, and I'm like, what do you mean check? How did I get put in check? I had this whole foolproof plan. How could this possibly go wrong? Like, I am a genius. And no. So I have to move out of check. And it's just the dumbest thing you could do. And I didn't want to go on any of the dark squares because I didn't want to lock in my bishop. But like, oh my god, I was so stupid. So stupid. So now I'm kind of thinking, let me push up my c-pawn, and somehow I can have my queen as a spearhead in front of my rook, and I'll just try to checkmate him by standing right in front of his king. So I'm like, alright, let's give that a shot. Let's move the rook over to try to set that up. And I don't necessarily see what his plan is right now, but I know that he's got his rook on the e-file, he's got his knight posting up there, so as soon as his knight moves, then my e-pawn is threatened, so I got to keep an eye out on that e-pawn. And I'm still thinking at this point, let's march up the c-file, let's get this pawn out of the way by taking his d-pawn. He'll recapture me with his knight, I'll recapture with my knight, and then he can come down with his rook, and it'll all go down on d4. So, and then I can slide my queen over, and I can run my queen right up to c2 and checkmate him. So I was willing to let all that happen and get a rook onto d4 to then slide my queen over to try to checkmate. So then he moves over here, and I was like, interesting, I see. He's trying to attack e6. So he's going to move his knight, he's going to bring his rook down or something. He's going to bring his bishop over to put me into check, and then try to take my knight or my rook. Like, okay, I see what you're trying to do here. So let's just get him into check. Let's get him to move a little bit. Let's get him to think. And then let's see what happens. And so he slides over now directly in front of my queen. So now it kind of changes a little bit. Now I'm looking at b2 for checkmate. So if I can get that pawn out of the way on d4, I can slide my bishop to g7. And now I got like the sniper sitting in the corner waiting for the queen. So I go over to g7 with my bishop, setting up the sniper shot. And I'm like, how can I get his pawn out of the way? So I was like, let's take with my knight. Okay, interesting. So his plan was to poke at me with the bishop instead of bringing the knight down. So I'm thinking, okay, well, my knight can also come down to take your bishop, and now my knight is out of the way. So my whole goal was to try to get that piece on d4 out of the way so I could move my queen up to deliver mate. So he's like, perfect. I am going to run into your house and steal all your money, but he left his front door open, and that ended way too quick. Yeah, this was literally 200 ELO chess. This was blunders all over the place. This was terrible chess. Thankfully, I came out with a win. I don't know what I would do if I was staring at the game review afterwards with a loss after a game this poor. But that was a fun one. There was a lot happening there. Neither of us deserved to win that game. So if you've made it this far, I appreciate it. You certainly got treated to something. Definitely not fundamental, well-played chess, that's for sure. But I appreciate you sticking around, and if you made it this far once again, please like and subscribe as we continue to grow, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.